morning. Were there any housekeeping matters before we call the first witness for today, Ms Sullivan?
No, I don't think so, and to the extent they arise, they can be dealt with after Assistant Commissioner Cassar's evidence, if you're content with that.
And I note for the record we have Mr Gollum and those instructing him, Mr Harris, Mr Smart, and Mr Feld, yes, and those instructing you, Mr Smart, and Mr Fishpool here, our regular observer. So we'll call Mr Cassar up to the box. If you'd come up to the witness box, please, Assistant Commissioner.
You swear by Almighty God that the evidence that you should give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If so, please say I do. I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Does your client seek a declaration, Mr Gollum?
Yes, please.
I understand that you seek a declaration under Section 75, Assistant Commissioner. Very sensible course of action. I'll make that declaration pursuant to Section 75 of the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission that all answers and other things given by this witness will be regarded as having been given on objection. And although I'm sure Mr Gollum and those instructing him have been through this with you, I want to make sure that I go through that arrangement again with you. Even though your answers are given on objection, they can still be used against you in certain circumstances, if there's a proceedings brought under the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission Act, for use in this investigation or to get advice from the Director of Public Prosecutions, and also for disciplinary proceedings against you. And you don't need me to spell out what the scope of disciplinary proceedings are under the Police Act. I'm sure you're well aware from your past experience, I should say, not from having personally experienced it. So let me just clarify that. Section 173, Section 181 capital D, or Section 183 capital A. So it can obviously be used for any of those proceedings if need be. Thank you. Are there any questions? No. And the only other matter is formally I do need to outline the scope and purpose of the examination. Have you had a chance to review that? It's attached to your summons?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, well maybe I don't need to go through that again formally, but it is that one, and we're covering a range of issues arising out of the police response to the 000 call on the 3rd of January, and I think your involvement came sometime later than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Sir, can I have your full name for the record, please?
Yeah, Joseph John Cassar.
And your rank?
It's an Assistant Commissioner.
Right. And you're the current commander of the Southern Region, is that correct? When were you appointed to that role?
I've been there twice. The last time I believe it was the end of February or January last year, so I'm nearing 2 years. Prior to that, I was at Professional Standards for 2 years, and then Southern Region Commander there before that for 3 years.
Thank you. So what period at Professional Standards?
I was there for 2 years, and it would have been... Okay, so if I've been there, say the end of February last year, that was 24, from about March or May 22.
For a 2-year period?
Thereabouts.
And prior to that you were at Southern
Southern.
for 3 years?
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you just assist us with a general overview of your policing background, including when you were tested?
Okay, so I attested December 1987. I started my career general duties at the Goulburn Police Station, transferred to the Port Kembla Police Station in 1989. I worked general duties in there as an intelligence officer, then become designated as a detective about 1994. 1995 I transferred to the Major Crime Squad South. I was there, worked as in the drug squad over the preceding years, drug squad, the child abuse section, and about 1998 the Serial Violent Crime Agency was established, and I was transferred to the Homicide and Serial Violent Crime Agencies about 99, 98. Then I was promoted to Detective Sergeant at Lake Illawarra, where I spent a number of years, transferred back to the homicide squad in 2000, and that was in 2000 I made sergeant. 2004 I made detective inspector as a crime manager at Maroubra, at Eastern Beaches.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Yep. And then from being the crime manager, I was there for a couple of years and relieved for about a 3-year period as a superintendent, working as the operations manager at Central Metro Region, 12 months as a commander at Eastern Suburbs, worked 3 months relieving at the Traffic and Highway Patrol as an operations manager, 12 months establishing the Alcohol Licence Enforcement Command, and then it was 2010 promoted to commander at the Cabramatta Command, and then was there for a couple of years, transferred...
Just pausing there, commander being superintendent.
Correct.
Thank
Yep.
you.
And then after a couple of years, transferred to being the commander at the Shoalhaven Command, which is down near Nowra,
Yes.
for about 3.5 years. Transferred across to the Wollongong as a commander, as a superintendent. And in 2017, I was promoted to assistant commissioner.
2017.
Yep. And the last 8 and a bit years, I've worked as an assistant commissioner in the Capability, Performance and Youth Command, South Region Commander, Professional Standards Commander, and back to the South Region Command.
Thank you very much. Have you been a ski before, a senior critical incident investigator? All right. We're just going to come now to the formality of your responses to the Section 55 and 54 notice.
Am I able to refer to that document that I've...
Please do.
Yep.
Of course, you have only a copy of that document, and that is the Section 54 and Section 55, I take it, Superintendent? Thank you.
I've got all the attachments and the guidelines, but they've all been provided.
That's fine. Thank you. So on the 8th of November, you provide the Section 54 response, that is the information. You've had an opportunity, no doubt, to review that.
Yeah, there is a couple of amendments, and there are just typos.
Thank you.
The first...
I might just, before we go there, I'd like to draw that document on the screen, please, if we could, so everyone can follow along. This is tab 76 of the investigative brief. That is it. Barcode 8632690 to 8632696. Have that document. Does that document come up in front of you on the screen?
The email has, but not my actual response. Yeah, there we go.
All right, thank you. Yes, please, you were identifying some corrections.
Yeah, so the second paragraph where it says, I've received this notice on the 5th of November 2026, that should be 2025, obviously.
Thank you.
And the only other minor amendment was, if you go to the third page...
Barcode 693.
Yeah, where is point number 3?
Yes.
My response, it says to MU, understanding, that should be to my, MY, understanding.
Thank you.
They're the only amendments.
Subject to those typographical corrections, this response is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information and belief.
Correct.
Thank you, sir. You also provide, I tender that document, Commissioner.
So that'll be Exhibit 28C.
Thank you. You also provided documents in response to a Section 55 notice. You provided those under cover of letter dated 9 November 2025.
Correct.
That is for the record, tab 77 of the investigative brief, barcode 8632632 to 8632689. And I tender a copy of that response, Commissioner.
So that will be Exhibit 29C. The Section 55 documents. I presume your client's shown you a copy of them, Mr. Gollan. Yeah. Could we have a copy of tab 77 up on the screen for Mr. Gollan, please? And if you could just tab through each page of that.
Last page should be the letter from Assistant Commissioner Cassar, dated 4 July 2023.
Thank you.
Any objection, Mr Gollan?
No, I just needed to make sure it was.
Right. Sir, given your 2-year period as the Commander of Professional Standards Command, can you outline for us, please, what the mandate of professional standards is within the New South Wales Police Force? What's its purpose?
Well, they're the subject matter expert. I suppose they are, use of a better terms, they are the owners of professional standards and everything that goes with it. So when we talk about investigating serious misconduct, as well as establishing, and this is in my terms, just general terms,
Yes.
establishing criteria for the organisation to follow when we talk about complaints management within the whole organisation, no matter what command. So that whole structure of investigators, professional standards managers, professional standards duty officers, complaints management team, timeliness. They've got an internal review panel, so they then look after the serious misconduct,
Yes.
Escalate matters to the Commissioner for consideration for either 173 or 181D dismissal. I won't go into that whole process. But they also, the corporate owners of the critical incident guidelines,
Yes.
they perform a role within that scope of the critical incident guidelines, namely the investigation arm attached to professional standards commands. When a critical incident is declared, they come over and oversight the investigation, whether it's been conducted by the homicide squad or whether it's been conducted by...
Pausing there, is that primarily undertaken by the review officer, that role of oversight?
But that is attached to professional standards commands. They review all of them.
And that review officer will always be of a detective inspector rank, is that correct?
Optimal, yes, but occasionally it may be a relieving inspector, but generally it will hold the rank of inspector because of their experience and seniority.
Okay, thank you.
But they will bring a team out as well to assist them with that review component. And there's a whole bundle of more responsibilities and duties that they talk about, like enhancing the awareness of the expectations in regards to mitigating mitigating misconduct, poor use of terms, in regards to preventing misconduct in the first place, to be proactive in I suppose, identifying some of the catalysts that may lead to misconduct. They do a lot of work in reviewing body-worn videos. There's a ton of work. Okay. But they are the generators of good practice.
All right. And indeed, they promote professional standards within the New South Wales Police Force?
Absolutely. So does the Region Commander and the Commanders.
Yes, and indeed have responsibility for setting standards for performance, conduct and integrity within the organisation. Do you agree with that?
A lot of that's in consultation with the Commissioner's executive team.
Okay. Yeah. And certainly have an important advisory, consultancy and review function in relation to critical incident investigations, as we've canvassed. And also, can I suggest PSC has a role in developing reference materials, standard operating procedures, policies and training that support professional standards and the application of best practice within the organisation.
That's correct.
And also PSC serves as an important contact point as between the New South Wales Police Force and other integrity bodies like this Commission.
Correct.
ICAC.
Correct.
And the Office of the State Coroner.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, can I just now turn to your experience, your extensive experience in relation to critical incidents. As a commander, you would no doubt have declared a number of critical incidents, that is a region commander.
Correct.
Are you able to estimate how many?
No, I couldn't give you a number. So, I'd say probably about 15. Yeah.
And you're also aware, no doubt, of the requirement to complete the P1179 form where consideration is given to whether or not to declare a critical incident, but it's not then called?
That's right, if it hits the criteria of being a critical incident, yes.
If it hits the criteria, sorry, what do you mean by that?
Well, there's those certain guidelines that
Yes.
we are all guided by.
Yes.
And if there's been a referral up to the region commander,
Yes.
and I speak from my own experience,
Yes.
and if I then deem it not to be a critical incident, then I would complete the 1179.
So when you give consideration to that issue of whether or not a matter is a critical incident, you complete the P1179. How many of those forms approximately do you think you would have completed during your time as Region Commander?
I couldn't answer that.
Well, upwards of around, or in the order of around 15 critical incident matters declared.
Probably in the single figures, probably more.
More than that?
No, less more than that.
Less, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, less than 15.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So that's where you've considered
That's right.
the question of whether to declare something a critical incident and have decided that it doesn't meet that criteria. Okay.
Do you complete that form yourself, or do you direct, for example, your staff officer to...
No, okay. So in the region, the structure,
Yes.
we have a professional staff. I've got direct reports.
Yes.
I've got a staff officer, operations manager, HR manager, business manager. I've got one officer who's an inspector, detective inspector in my case, who is a professional standards manager.
Yes.
And each of the commands also has obviously the commander and a professional standards duty officer, who that's the portfolio. It is the on-call process, and I talk about the southern region. I don't speak for the other 5 regions.
Understood.
If there is an incident that occurs in the field, the first port of call will usually be through the on-call process. If it's an operations, like a high-risk matter, they'll go through the operations manager. He'll do a lot of the groundwork.
Just pausing there, what's a high-risk matter?
High risk, let's say if it's a siege matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is out of the realms, but I'm just giving you an
Yes,
example.
thank you, understood.
And then he or she will contact me, and we'll talk about the response. As you know, for high risks, I've got the delegated responsibility and accountability for approving special weapons operations and tactics.
Yes.
Same goes for the professional standards. The guidelines are guidelines, and of course they are available to all commands as the guide. It will be the case where usually the first port of call will be quick notification to the professional standards manager, and who has got a high level of understanding of the critical incident guidelines and misconduct, obviously, because that's their bread and butter.
Yep.
And then if it's a referral, if they're making an actual referral, then he will contact me and say, listen, Mr. Cassar, A, B, C, D, and E has happened, and we'll talk about whether it meets the criteria of the critical incident, and it may be the case that it's a black and white yes, I'll declare it a critical incident. There may be instances where I ask for further inquiries to be made.
Yes.
For example, if there's an injury, they may contact and there's information from an ambulance officer that says he's going to die. And then I'll ask for more information. I may delay the actual declaration of the critical incident until we get some more information from a doctor, for example. And it may be the case that may not come up for a couple of days, and the declaration's made after that.
Just pausing there, what's the latest that you have declared a critical incident, to the best of your memory?
It's me personally, probably about 48 hours. But if it's a case that I didn't, under those circumstances, I would do a 1179 because it has been referred to us for consideration of a critical incident.
Sorry, just so I'm clear, referred by the professional standards manager or referred by another officer, for example?
No, it comes from the field.
Yep.
Consultation with the PSM, who is me, essentially.
Yes, your delegate in the field.
And then, sorry?
Your delegate in the field, that is?
My delegate in the region office.
In the region, okay.
Yeah, so my inspector, I make the declaration.
I understand.
I suppose he's the conduit to make sure all the correct information. Sometimes you might get an acting inspector that is very green, and it doesn't even come anywhere near the threshold. I wouldn't get the call then because it's nowhere near the threshold of the critical.
Are you talking about an acting inspector being the duty officer?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So the duty officer consults with the PSM, the region PSM, who may or may not refer it to you for consideration.
If there's it's getting anywhere near being a critical incident, he'll contact me because I'm the one that makes the decision,
Okay.
the determination. He will often field questions. It might be the case that they're ringing them as a safety net, and to be honest, I don't know how many calls that they get, but that's the whole. I suppose that's the essence of having the region subject matter experts on call,
Yes.
so they can provide that support to the field.
Right, understood.
And if it's a case that if it's grey and I don't declare it, then I'll do a section 1179.
I'm sorry, you said if it's grey,
If it's not that,
clear
I'm
cut.
declaring it now. Say if it's, I want more information, and that information says, well, I don't think it's a critical incident, then I'll do the 1179.
So just the fact that it's been raised for your
It's been
consideration,
put up to me for referral.
does not lead to you completing a P1179 by virtue of it being raised for your consideration by the PSM. Is that right?
I don't understand the question. So is it the PSM raising it with me, or
Yeah,
is it...
is that the trigger for you to complete a P1179 non-declaration?
Well, that may be one trigger, but there may be... It's not to say that a commander may not contact me direct.
Yes.
In fact, on the weekend, I'm not going to go into the case, but I got a call direct from the commander. So
Yes.
and then I made consideration based on that. And then I engaged my professional standards manager to let him know this is what I've done.
Right. Do you know where those P1179 non-declaration forms go after they've been completed by you?
Well, if I'm the region commander, that will then go back to the professional standards manager, who will then escalate in the right location.
Do you have any understanding where the right location is?
Oh, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Right.
So this is the non-declaration forms.
The
They
actual
go-
form.
Yeah, they go back to the PSM to file, do they?
I would suggest that that would be sent through to Professional Standards Command, coming from the region. But at my level as a region commander, I know what my obligations are.
Yep.
And then I've got direct reports as my expectation. Once it's consistent with my advice and I'm
Yes.
happy with the information contained in it, then it gets escalated, I would expect, to Professional Standards Command. It wouldn't just get filed locally.
When you say escalated to professional, we're talking about the non-declaration?
Yeah, so they're aware of it, yeah.
Because it's important information for them to be aware of, do you agree?
Well, they're the subject matter experts.
So yes, it's important for them to have the non-declarations because they're the subject matter experts?
It's important for them to have access to it, yeah.
Yeah. Do you recall during the 2 years that you were at Professional Standards ever accessing these documents? No. Never had.
But I've got a very strong... I had two superintendents, quite a number of inspectors. I can't speak on their behalf, but as the inspector in charge of Professional Standards Command, no.
Because given that PSC are the subject matter experts, it makes sense, doesn't it, that they would have the repository of all these forms to be able to identify, for example, any trends in decision making?
I would say, it's good for them to have access to that information, to identify trends in decision making. You're talking about region commanders. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say the objective is to identify trends.
May not be the objective, it might be one objective.
To identify trends. We're talking about assistant commissioners, experienced assistant commissioners making decisions, who have got the delegated authority to make
Yes. critical
incidents. If there were instances that critical incidents weren't being made and your commander of PSC, if they identified a trend, then I suppose there's avenues to engage them personally and to speak about case by case.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't had to do it.
Yes.
And there's certainly, to my experience and knowledge, no trends have been brought to my attention in regards to assistant commissioners.
Yes. Well, pausing there, are you familiar with the process in relation to what happens to those non-declarations? I understood from your evidence that that's not something that you had encountered during your 2-year period at the PSC.
No, I couldn't tell you specifically. I mean, we could find the answer out for you, and no doubt the next witness will be able to answer it.
Yes.
But yeah, no, from my point of view, no, I couldn't tell you exactly who gets escalated to.
Or whether they're reviewed, in fact, by PSC, that is the non-declarations?
You'd have to ask the current commander that question.
I understand that the current commander will indicate that PSC do not receive the non-declarations.
Well, that may be the case. Again, I can't tell you where it goes. I know I authorise, when I say I make the decision, once the document's been consistent with our decision-making, it's authorised by me.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you where it's stored.
All right. I'm sorry to belabour your 2-year experience whilst you were the commander of PSC, but is it surprising to you to now discover that Assistant Commissioner Cotter says that the P1179s don't go to PSC for review?
If that's what he said, then that's his answer. I can only talk about what my
Understand.
awareness was
Yes.
when I was a commander some 2 years ago.
Yes, but it was your assumption that it would be reviewed by PSC, is that right?
You've just asked me to come. That's my assumption now.
Yeah.
If you'd asked me 2 years ago where I had a handle on that, I possibly would have given you a different answer. But I can only answer...
I'm not sure what that means, Assistant Commissioner.
Well, you're asking me to reflect on what my awareness is on where the 1179
Yep.
goes. And I've given you an answer insofar as it's put to me. I'm happy with the content, the document's completed, and then it's my professional standards manager will look after it from there. You asked me whether, do I think it went to professional standards command? If you're asking me now, I thought that they would have had access to it, like they would have had access to all our complaints matter.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what system it's stored on, but I know it's an electronic document and it is stored
Somewhere.
within the organisation. But a lot of our systems, you can have access remotely to them, like our police cop system, to our complaints management system, to our body-worn video system.
Can I ask, just again, based on your experience at PSC, the 2 years there, I just suggest this. It would be of utility for PSC, as the subject matter experts, to have access to the P1179 forms for their review, consideration and analysis. You agree?
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, we'll go to the form now, if you don't mind. This is the P1179. It's in your statement, but we'll also go to a copy that we can bring up on the screen easily. This is tab 52, please.
It's a public exhibit number 5, I think.
5, thank you. I'll just wait for that to pop up. Is that in front of you there, Assistant Commissioner?
Correct.
You see the first sentence of the P1179 form, and I should identify it's on page 212, a barcode ending 212. This is a record of the decision of Region Commander in declaring the following incident a critical incident under section 1111 of the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission Act. You see that?
Yes.
So it is a mandate to the Region Commander to fill this out where there is consideration as to whether or not to declare. Have I read that right? Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. And this is an important document, isn't it? Because it provides a clear and auditable record of why a Region Commander has declared a critical incident, correct?
Declared and non-declared.
And also it's an important record in relation to a Region Commander's determination not to declare a critical incident. Agreed?
Yes.
It's a record. And indeed, Part 3 counsels that the Region Commander, where there has been a determination not to declare a critical incident, should set out clear and detailed reasons for the decision not to declare a critical incident, especially where the response is yes to either question in Part 2 above. See that?
Yep.
All right. Now, the decision not to declare a critical incident has particular consequences in terms of the oversight function, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah, correct.
In that this commission...
Because it's not a critical incident, that's right.
Yes, this commission has no review function, correct?
Correct.
And the review officer within PSC has no review function
Correct, because it's not deemed to be a critical incident.
by the Region Commander. Understood.
Not the delegation.
Yes. Now, are you aware of any training that is given to Assistant Commissioners in relation to completing this form?
No, I'm not aware of any training.
Are you aware of any guidelines that have been provided to Assistant Commissioners in relation to the importance of completing Part 3, where there has been consideration but non-declaration of a critical incident?
From a personal point of view, there's the critical incident guidelines.
Yes.
And then, speaking as a region commander, our professional standards manager does additional training that I wouldn't do as
Yes.
a region commander. And we do rely on that training and expertise.
So you would have the expectation, for example, where someone is acting in an assistant commissioner role, that it would be the inspector, the PSM, if I can call it that, who might counsel the acting assistant commissioner to complete...
Even me as a seasoned region commander, I still seek advice and consultation with my professional standards manager. It's, for me, I
Yes.
see that as good practice.
All right.
That's for me, I only speak on behalf of myself.
Understood, and that's necessarily the case. But have you been reminded about the need to complete Part 3, that is the non-declaration by your PSM? No, you don't need it because you...
Not that I recall.
Okay. All right. Because we know in this instance that a P1179 was not completed, correct? But it's also clear that Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman gave consideration to whether or not to declare a critical incident, didn't she?
I think
Object. Commissioner, proposition needs to be put on the basis of whether or not, look, all incidents are not critical incidents. We can have homicides that are critical incidents. And it might be that one turns their mind to it. For this question to have any assistance to you, it needs to be put on the proposition that it falls within the terms of 110, alternatively 111, 1B, for it to be a matter that's relevant for consideration, because you wouldn't expect in circumstances where it doesn't fall within any of those terms for there to be any document, additional document, or any additional consideration. One might consider whether or not it falls within 110 or 111, 1B, but that doesn't necessarily...
Commissioner,
Excuse me.
I object to this analysis, to this objection being articulated in front of the witness. It's not an appropriate
Oh, well,
course.
then the witness can be excused because it's an important distinction.
The
Sorry.
witness should be excused if you're to continue the objection in these terms.
Do you want to reframe your question,
Very
Ms Sullivan?
content, in fact, to come back to it at another point in my examination, but I would ask that my friend take note of the concern I've just conveyed about the manner in which objections are raised in front of witnesses. Right.
I think we were asking
I'm
about Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman.
Yes, I'll come back to that matter at a subsequent point. Commissioner, thank you. Have you, in your experience, ever declared a public interest critical incident, if I can call it that, under the LIM in section 111 1B?
yes.
When was that?
Can I talk about a recent one that's still current?
Yes, you can.
Friday.
Yes, on Friday. That was the matter concerning the discovery of a 48-year-old outside Illawarra police station.
Commissioner, this should be the subject of a suppression order. It's not
Well, before,
We can,
Critical of my own brain.
well, why don't we hear the evidence and then you,
I'm
and
concerned that this is otherwise an open hearing.
the Assistant Commissioner has given a media briefing in relation to this matter, and the content of my questioning relates to the media briefing that is in the public domain.
I'm not seeking to join issue with my own friend. What I'm asking is that you can see the reticence of the particular witness, and I just want to make sure that it's covered by all of the things that have been said about some things being confidential and other things not.
why don't we, I hear your concern, we'll hear the answers from the witness, and then if those concerns remain, we can hear any suppression order. But I think, let's hear the evidence first, and I understand you flagged that and the media's aware that that's been flagged as an issue, and we'll deal with it at the conclusion of this point.
Is that the first one under that limb, Assistant Commissioner, that you have declared in your experience?
Oh, that's the most recent one. I couldn't think of any other ones, not this time.
The Commission's statistics compiled since 2017 suggest that that would be the third out of 275 critical incidents. Are you aware of any statistics along those lines?
No.
Does that surprise you?
I'm neither here nor there, to be honest. I'm not surprised, and I'm not saying that I am surprised,
Yes.
because there's certain guidelines that's available to police,
Yep.
and that's one of the options to declare a critical incident.
So pausing there when you say certain guidelines, you're talking about the critical incident guidelines?
Yes, correct.
And are you talking about the reference in relation to the guidance to officers concerning section 111 subsection 1B?
It's guidance towards the region commanders.
Would you mind identifying for us what guidelines you're referring to? Is it
It is the critical incident guidelines, professional standards command, that's available to all police, and then it, under the definition of what is a critical incident, you go through the two.
Just for the record, I might pause you there. Can we bring up, please, just so that everyone else can follow along, Exhibit 29, barcode 674.
So 29C, tab 77.
Thank you. We go to 674, that's the commencement of the critical incident guidelines. Those are the guidelines that you're referring to, sir?
Yeah, correct.
All right, and so then if we go to, you might have it first. Where do we find in these guidelines the reference?
Go to about page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Page 5 of 12.
These are the guidelines dated December 2019. Are these?
Yeah, well, they're the ones that would have been the relevant ones at the time.
Okay,
I made the
thank you. The current ones are from February 2024, is that right?
been reviewed. That's why I thought it was important to reference the one that were available. to me
Indeed.
at the time.
We're in furious agreement about that. And sorry, you were directing us to a particular page?
So it's page 5 of 12. So go back one.
5 point,
No, go back a page. Sorry. What's that? That's 4. Is this?
Is that it, the guiding principles? No, that's 7.
No, it's right at the top. It says, what is a critical incident? Down at the bottom of the document that I've got, which is the ones I scanned and sent
I
through.
think the
Keep-
mischief is that we're missing page 5.
That's unfortunate.
So we'll go to
If you
another.
want a copy of this is the document.
We have another version of it. Thank you for
Highlighted.
thank you for identifying the critical page. It's missing. So we'll go to tab 74, please. Right. So just for the record, tab 74, barcode 8630958 to 8630969. I'll tender for completeness, Commissioner, a copy of the complete 2019 Critical Incident Guidelines.
So the complete 23 December 2019 Critical Incident Guidelines under tab 74 will be Exhibit 30C.
Assistant Commissioner, you were directing us to what is a critical incident and the penultimate paragraph in section 1, is that right?
That's
Can I
correct.
just ask you to read that onto the record for us?
So it goes through 2, 4, 6 instances where it gives you guidance in regards to what constitutes a critical incident.
Yes.
And then there's that additional paragraph which relies on the Region Commander's discretion to some degree, I suppose. The Region Commander may also make this declaration if they have other grounds for considering it is in the public interest to do so. Section 111 in brackets 1 in brackets B. This may include where an incident could attract significant attention, interest or criticism, and the public interest is best served by investigating the incident as a critical incident.
Thank you. So those were the considerations that you had in mind in relation to the recent matter on Friday, is that right?
Correct.
Are you able to explain your thinking to us? And if I could pause here, your thinking in this regard wouldn't necessarily be on the public record, so that may be an appropriate matter for a suppression order, Commissioner.
Okay, so in regards to this particular case, it was unique in that the commander rang me direct.
Yes.
At the earliest opportunity for him. And then at that point, I had a number of questions that I wanted answered. At that point, the body had been discovered in the vehicle where it was parked in the close vicinity of the front doors of the police station. And it was brought to my attention that it had been there for a number of days. And I wanted further information in regards to the movement of the individual, and that required them to do further inquiries. Because at this point it was a body in a vehicle parked in the close vicinity of the police station. It was a result of that feedback that I received about an hour later that gave me the information that I needed. And that, I mean, this is subject of an investigation, so it's important that it,
Can I say, if there's anything that you feel concerned about articulating, even in this public setting, even with a suppression order, Assistant Commissioner, you can flag that and talk in euphemisms.
My concerns are the individual hasn't been given due process and to my understanding hasn't provided a version. That's the police officer, and I don't think it's fair to that individual that I start talking about what I've been...
We absolutely don't need to go into that level of granularity. If I could just explore your thinking in global terms without descending into the details.
Sure. Well, it provided me information, sufficient information, that certainly didn't fall under the criteria, those 6 key points above it, but fell under the criteria of the bottom point, and that is it's going to draw significant attention and public interest component. And that says, I mean, those guidelines says such as, or may include, but they're certainly 2 points that I cast my mind to.
Yes.
And I thought warranted it to be a critical incident.
Right.
And I wasn't armed with the fact that it was only 3 and a number of hundreds that had been declared under that.
Right. Can I just suggest again, mining your experience at PSC, that it may assist, perhaps less so very experienced officers such as yourself, but acting assistant commissioners, to have some examples nominated there about the types of matters that might fall into that category, so they can have a framework in which to consider what the public interest considerations might be.
I can tell you the cohort of assistant commissioners, and particularly those that have relieved a lot, are exposed to a lot of information sharing, like unofficial, when I say unofficial, information that's not documented. And that's, I suppose that's that relationship as a senior executive the objective is to share experiences with a view of enhancing capability and performance. I mean, history has shown that, I mean, if there is a best practice process in place, certainly been beneficial to individuals. But to do it for this, because there is that discretionary power, or the discretionary capability, should I say, for the region commander, two region commanders may look at the situation differently.
Yes.
The one thing I would hate to see is a region commander just declaring every matter as a critical incident, as opposed to actually doing what they get paid for, and that's to be a region commander, to consider all the information and to make the appropriate declaration or not declaration,
Yes.
or even consider it that it doesn't even come near a critical incident.
But accepting everything that you say about that, just coming back to my question, can I suggest that some examples might assist? For example, someone like Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman, who was in the role on an acting basis, to understand the nature of what that particular limb might extend to, given that we know those types of critical incidents are extremely rare.
Budget. He can't say what would have influenced Madam Chapman's view of the world.
That's
I
not
don't
the
think that
import
was-
of the question.
Well, though, it can be put as, do you think that it might assist those that have got access to the material, as opposed to the individualisation of Madam Chapman?
The point of referring to Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman was
rephrase
that,
the
can I
question.
finish my response, was to indicate that she was acting in that role and therefore not a permanent Assistant Commissioner who might have exposure to this function on a frequent basis, as this officer did and does.
There is no adversarial inquiry in any forum that would suggest that a witness is in a position to tell you about what the state of mind of another person is, particularly in circumstances where the hypothesis could have been put to Madam Chapman and was not.
I'm still
I
unclear.
don't understand that to be the point of the question, I think. But maybe if we take Madam Chapman's name out
Yes,
of
I'm very
the
content that-
question, Ms Sullivan, and
Thank
reframe
you.
it in terms of an inexperienced Assistant Commissioner.
Who
Sorry,
may be acting in the
assistant-
role?
Yeah, acting role.
The proposition is a basic one. It's just that there's some guidance provided in the second sentence there. Do you agree?
Correct?
I'm just suggesting that it may assist those who in particular might be acting in the role to understand the types of matters that has picked up. Do you agree?
That's a double-edged sword. If there is the opportunity for personal engagement where they can have the opportunity for exploratory questions, I think that possibly is a good thing.
Yep.
But if it is a documented point as to why or why not,
Yep.
I think the risk there is there's a lot of information that may not be contained in that document. So I would hate to see a mindset saying that they're relying on this example. And that's why it's that whole function of the determination or not determination is very complex as a region commander, and I certainly don't take that lightly.
Yes, thank you. That's a helpful indication. In light of that, perhaps a reference to certain examples with then underscoring or highlighting the need to particularly discuss a matter that may fall into this category, given the complexities you've referred to?
Yeah, I mean, the homicide do it all the time. They have case studies that they pull apart, but that's in the learning environment, not so much at the time of making the decision.
Yeah. But my point is, given the rarity of these matters, it's difficult for information to immediately be available to an acting assistant or acting region commander in relation to this category. There's only 3 since 2017. Agree?
Sorry, what's the actual question?
Well, the rarity of these matters means that it's difficult for the matters that have been declared to be known, by way of example, to someone who is acting as a region commander.
Yeah, absolutely, if there's only 3 of them. Yeah.
So it may assist to
It may, yeah.
set out those matters or provide some examples.
But it has to be it has to be tempered with the broader sense of exploring the whys and why not.
Yes.
I think there's dangers associated to it just being a reference document.
Yes, understood. Thank you. That's helpful.
Can I ask, Assistant Commissioner, you said that you wouldn't want the guidelines to be too prescriptive, so that people felt that only, these examples are the only examples. And you really,
to that paragraph?
To that paragraph, if I understood your evidence, and that instead you would like it to prompt almost a series of questions, think about these options, and then, again, prompt a new Assistant Commissioner or an acting Assistant Commissioner with less experience to have further discussions, if I understood your evidence correctly.
To get the benefit out of that proposal, yes.
Who would an acting Assistant Commissioner turn to, or who would you turn to, if you were uncertain about whether to declare something a critical incident, particularly in that public interest kind of category?
So my first port of call would be my professional standards manager.
Yep.
Because bread and butter, and it would be, obviously the decision-making rests with the region commander, but that doesn't mean that you can't use them as a sounding board. And I use my own experience. I think I relieved for about 2 years as an assistant commissioner in various locations. And I would often rely on that person. But there is the scope for the individual to reach out to another substantive region commander, and that often is the case, and that's as a result of relationships being built. Or in fact, they could reach out to the deputy commissioner if that's the case.
Okay.
And the benefit...
So someone more experienced
Yeah,
and
but
more senior sometimes,
yeah,
or
they feel
equivalent,
comfortable
a peer.
having this conversation.
So was there anyone else? Did I cut you off?
No, that would be, I mean, if they've got contacts with professional standards, it may be in fact them, but it all depends on the relationships the individual's built. I'm speaking from a personal point of view.
Thank you.
Coming now to your involvement in relation to this particular incident. So as set out in your Section 54 response, you weren't here at the relevant time. You were in fact on leave.
Overseas.
Okay. What period were you on leave for?
My annual leave, well, it says, my annual leave reckon says for, I think, the 3rd of January through to the 28th, but because it was so close to Christmas, I think it may have even been a Saturday, Sunday. So I'm really out of play from about the 1st of January.
Yes.
Flew out of the country on the 3rd of January with my family, and I think I returned back maybe 3-4 weeks later.
Right. And
I wasn't aware, not even reading in, usually there's something in the media that I would have picked up, not saying being critical incident, but under this case, a homicide investigation I would expect would have had some media publicity.
Okay. And is it correct that Acting Assistant Commissioner Driver was the commander during that period?
I believe so, yes. He was one of my superintendents and did the bulk of the relieving. That's why I'm assuming that he was the one that did the relieving.
And you didn't get any handback?
I got a handback, but no reference to this.
And you haven't found any records in relation to this matter?
No, not at all.
And for reasons explained in your response, you didn't ask any staff about their knowledge of this matter in connection with these proceedings?
No, post receiving the 55 and the 54.
Thank you. So we know that you received the correspondence from LEC in June 2023, that's right?
Yes.
And what did you do? And let's go to the letter just to refresh your memory. This is your response, tab 77, Exhibit 29C. The letter is at barcode 637. Bring that up.
That was my... it's in the outcome of it, or the letter that we received?
So we'll just step it through so everyone has access to this material. Firstly, we'll bring up the letter from LEC that annexed an article. So that's the letter to Detective Superintendent Simpkins of Professional Standards Command. And you see that there's an article, or you're aware that there's an article if we scroll through 2 pages. That's the correspondence that you ultimately responded to, correct?
Correct.
Then if we could go please to barcode 644. what's known as a Godfrey report. Is that right? And we see there a letter or a note from Detective Inspector Harris dated 14 June 2023, raising for the consideration of the chain of command this letter from LEC of 7 June 2023. You see that?
Correct.
And it comes to you, if we turn over the next page, on the 16th of June 2023.
Yes.
Can you just summarise for us, if you would, your thinking as at June 2023 in relation to responding to this LEC letter?
Okay, so I suppose to put it in some context, Detective Superintendent Paul Simpkins was in charge of the investigation team, and then Tony Harris was the inspector that was one of his 5-6 inspectors. So the correspondence would have gone through them. I would suggest primarily because of their role in that whole critical incident investigative process. As further inquiries had to be made, he escalated the report, the Godfrey report, through to myself, and the best person I found to provide that advice would be the person who had the delegation for declaring it, or not declaring it, which is the Northern Region Commander. I've got Mr McKenna's name there because he was a substantive Region Commander.
Yes.
And then I forwarded on to them to provide me advice in regards to the...
All right, thank you. And so then you receive a response, don't you, from Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman dated 26 June 2023. If we go to barcode ending 646.
Yes.
You recall receiving that and reading that document?
Okay.
Right. Can I just ask, as a matter of form, if you go to the second page of that document, 647, see Commander number 2, it's been noted by, I should say, Acting Deputy Commissioner Greentree, but then 2, Commander Professional Standards, that's you?
Yes, I was Commander of Professional Standards, that's right.
But there's no note or acknowledgement by you in relation to this, Godfrey?
So I originally, so this was the report that I suppose was initiated by Professional Standards Command.
Yes.
So the loop had been closed after it had gone through to the Acting Region Commander, obviously Tracy Chapman, and then escalated to Brett Greentree, who was acting as the deputy. It's just a chain of command, and it's come back to me. It stayed with Professional Standards because there's no further comment other than the next step of myself making the notification in regards to her request for a copy of the 1179.
All right, we'll come to that response, but thank you. Now, is it correct that you have no recollection of discussing Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman's response at the time?
I don't, because it was 2 years ago, I don't recall picking up the phone and talking to her. She provided me, and I certainly didn't pick up the phone and talk to her in advance of getting the report because I actually thought it was Pete McKenna that was going to provide the response. Again, I don't recall having a conversation after I've received this.
And
I certainly haven't spoken to her since receiving the 55 or the 54
Thank you.
or something.
nor do you recall, I take it, any discussion with, for example, Detective Inspector Harris?
Possibly, and I think I referenced in it that I may have, it is possible that I've had conversations with staff within Professional Standards Command. I certainly don't recall them specifically, but it potentially would have been either my professional standard manager, whoever was doing that job at the time, and maybe one of the investigators that handles a lot of these critical incidents. But again,
That would be very standard for you to have those interactions.
well, that's right, because again, it's like me tapping into my PSM to determine a critical incident. It just assists me with my decision making, and is there anything else that I may have missed?
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to go into the substance of the response.
My response, or
No, the Assistant Commissioner Chapman, I'll take you to your response
Yep.
in due course. This is at barcode 646. Page, thank you. So we see there under the background, should be in front of you on the screen too, if that's easier.
Yep.
Second paragraph, just after 1900, on 3 January 2023, police received a 000 call from a male advising a woman was being assaulted behind the Salvation Army in Ballina. Attempts to call male back were unsuccessful. Just pausing there, you know nothing, I assume, about this particular location in Ballina, the Salvation Army?
No, I still couldn't. If you asked me for a map, I couldn't put it out. No.
And you don't recall drawing up a map to try and get bearings in relation to this particular premises at the time?
No, because my role wasn't to investigate the matter.
Okay. What was your role?
Well, primarily to respond to the correspondence, and based on the response that I got, to do, I suppose, a review of the other material that I had at my disposal, which is the CAD, the guidelines, and of course a response.
All right. Goes on. Police at the time were unable to immediately respond, however. At approximately 1955, police attended the location and were unable to identify any incident or the original informant who may have directed police to a more specific location. You see that? Mm-hmm. Did you have an understanding, just pausing there, that this was a priority 2 incident? No. You're talking 2 years ago. At that time, I would have looked at the CAD details. Yes.
But I wouldn't have. I couldn't tell you whether I saw whether there was any reference, whether it was 2 or 3.
There's not in this document, but you looking at the CAD incident log would have indicated to you what priority it was.
I've got the material here.
Yes.
I can't specifically say that. I'm talking 2 years ago whether I made it a point that I noticed it was a priority 2 or a priority 3 or a priority 1.
Wouldn't be a priority 1.
No, but I'm saying my point is I can't tell you what priority was because you asked me for something for 2 years ago.
Sure, but in preparing for these proceedings, you've reviewed the material that you provided, haven't you?
Yeah.
Including the CAD log?
Yes, yeah.
And that indicates the priority of the job, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, can I refresh my memory from the document?
But you don't know sitting there now.
No, I couldn't tell you.
Isn't that an important detail?
Well, it is a detail. I think the proceedings are important, but you've got to understand, like I had another critical incident that I dealt with over the weekend. We've had a protest over a Seacliff Bridge. We've had high-risk matters. So it is, all this information is important. You've asked me a specific question. I mean, I could answer it by having a look at the details now.
It's a priority 2 job. We'll come to the CAD. It goes on. At approximately 12:30 on 4 January 2023, police were alerted to attend a deceased female at the Salvation Army store in Ballina. The deceased partner was arrested and charged with murder. On this date, I was the acting region commander for Northern Region. I did not declare a critical incident. And then there's reference to the LEC correspondence, and the second sentence states this, in connection with the Liverpool matter on 29 May 2023, that's the death of Tatiana Doctoru referred to in the article.
Yes.
It goes on, this correspondence suggests it difficult to reconcile the non-declaration for the Ballina matter when there's since been a decision to declare a critical incident in Liverpool. You see that?
Yes.
Then Assistant Commissioner Chapman provides her comment, doesn't she?
Yes.
And she states this: during the course of the morning of 4 January 2023, this incident was not raised with me with respect to a critical incident consideration by any other officers.
Yes.
Notwithstanding, I did turn my mind to the circumstances of this incident with respect to critical incidents. So pausing there, she's plainly conveying in this note that she considered whether or not it was a critical incident. You agree?
She turned her mind to it, yes.
That's consideration, I suggest.
Well, turning your mind to it, I mean, my terminology is her terminology. If I was to say I turned my mind to something as opposed to I considered it, in this respect, my consideration would be in line with the guidelines. I can't say what was going through Tracy's mind, but
Well, pausing there, you can say that she has indicated in this record that she, quote, did turn my mind to the circumstances of this incident with respect to critical incidents. I suggest that is plainly her note about considering whether or not this was a critical incident. Do you agree?
Well, that's what she says, so I'm not going to say anything to the contrary.
Thank you. She sets out the mandatory criterion, and she
Yes.
goes on to say, I'm of the view that none of these circumstances
Yes.
were met. I'm aware that I may also declare a critical incident if I have other grounds for considering it's in the public interest. At the time, I caused suitable inquiries to be made into the circumstances of police attendance in order to determine a course of action. You saw that?
Yes.
I was satisfied with the information provided by Superintendent Tanner with respect to the initial delay in attendance following his thorough and detailed review of CAD and all activities being undertaken at the time by rostered police. You see that?
Yes.
Just pausing there. Superintendent Tanner is the police district commander, isn't he?
Correct. Oh, he was
At the time, thank you.
Yeah.
So there's not just as a function of his role, there's not an independent review of those matters given that role. Do you agree?
Well, it's not independent because he's the commander.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. I was also briefed by Superintendent Tanner with respect to the attendance of police at 1955 when considering the initial call location and ultimately the location of the victim at 12:30. The initial caller indicated rear of Salvation Army. Superintendent Tanner advised the victim was located at the side, where police needed to be taken through two gates where donation items are kept.
Hold on a minute, Ms Sullivan. Could we just flick across to the next page?
647, thank you.
Thank you.
The environment made it difficult to locate the victim and police needed to be directed to her in order to locate her. Just pausing there, did you ever have access to any of the crime scene photographs? No. Didn't ask to see those? No. That's not part of your review?
Correct. It's not part of my functions. The homicide team would have been investigating that.
Right. And did you have any understanding as to whether this priority 2 job had other competing P2 jobs at the time that you conducted your review?
Only that there was the reference that she'd made that Mr Tanner had looked at the reasons why there was a time gap from the call to when they arrived, and that both he and she, I believe, were satisfied with those reasoning.
All right. So the only CAD jobs that you looked at related to this incident? Yes. Not anything else that was occurring at the time?
No.
Why wasn't that part of your review in relation to the delay?
Well, it was, when I say my review,
yes.
There's no structured review process in Professional Standards Command where we talk about declarations or non-declarations. The reason, when I say I reviewed the response, so bearing in mind the catalog letter
yes.
for a copy of the 1179, I then took it upon myself to look at the response provided by Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman and other supporting documents that I've referred to. So I'm not reviewing the whole investigation. That is not I didn't see that as my function. I just wanted to see. I just wanted to be convinced that that the course of action taken by this region commander and the explanation that was provided is consistent with the guidelines.
All right.
So I didn't go into details of checking crimes and logs, statements, talking to police or anything like that. That's not my function.
So it was a limited review that you conducted?
Correct.
All right. Now, there's certainly emphasis in this note, isn't there, on difficulties identifying the location of Miss Lucina?
Yes.
There's no reference, is there, to whether or not police exited, that is, the attending police exited their vehicle at any point in time? Do you agree?
No, and I wouldn't expect any detail to be contained in the Godfrey report from the region commander.
You wouldn't expect that detail? Why not?
Because I just wouldn't expect her to go into such detailed explanations on what the police did or didn't. The fact that she's the region commander, she's got the delegated authority, we've got critical incident guidelines there to assist her. She's provided me with, I'd say, advice, response to the considerations, and then I've considered that in line with the guidelines, and I was satisfied that she'd taken appropriate action. It's not up to me to look at what the police did or didn't do,
Yes.
or I suppose the detail of the homicide investigation.
What wasn't relevant for you to know whether or not police had exited their vehicles at any point in attending this incident?
I didn't, well, no, I didn't think it was important for me to know. I mean, I could ask for a whole copy of the investigation, the brief of evidence, which was 6 months old. The objective was for me to be satisfied. The objective was to request for the P1179, and then she's provided this response. And then I want to satisfy myself as a commander of PSC that she was acting within the directions or the guidance of the critical incident guidelines, and I was satisfied with that.
Do you have an understanding, as you sit here giving evidence today, whether the officers ever alighted from their vehicles?
I do now.
What's your understanding?
That they didn't get out of the vehicles.
And what's your view about that?
I don't feel comfortable with answering it, and I'll preface that with it's very. I don't know the full details as to why they didn't get out of the vehicle. I don't know. I don't have an understanding of the footprint. I do know that anonymous caller. There was some time to get to the location. That they had patrolled the area, and they didn't have the capability to go back to the anonymous caller to seek further information. But I didn't have any details as to any reasons. I mean, what was playing on their mind, what other competing jobs they may have had. I could sit here for a number of minutes and talk about other factors like their safety and wellbeing considerations. I don't know. There's a lot of things that play through individuals' mind when they, especially dark night, remote location, regional areas. You've got to understand.
Just pausing there. The relevant incident occurs at dusk, so there is light. There's ample light.
But there is limited resources as well.
Just pausing there, the VKG audio indicates that these officers were not under time pressure to respond to other jobs at this point in time. This was the only P2 job during the period 6:38pm to 7:41pm.
And I suppose that's the point of what I'm saying is I don't know what's playing on these
Yes.
individuals' minds.
Yes.
So I don't know whether was it or wasn't important for them to get out. I don't know.
Just pausing there, those are all relevant matters that inform the issue of whether that police response was adequate. Do you agree?
Well, that would be something that the Assistant Commissioner as a region commander...
That's not the question though. Those are all matters that would inform whether or not that police response was adequate. Do you agree? All the matters that...
They would assist in... they would assist, absolutely.
Right. And if you were the region commander, those are the matters that you would certainly want answers to?
No, I can't say yes or no to that because I know, like I used Friday's examples, it doesn't mean every other Assistant Commissioner would be asking the same questions. That doesn't mean they did a bad job.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking about your thinking. You would want to know, as region commander, about those matters in order to inform your decision.
I can't say yes or no to that because I'm not asked the question at that time with limited information. So I'm not comfortable in saying, yes, that's exactly what I would like to know. My position is, I'd have to be put in that situation at that time, talking to the individual officers or the commander to know what questions I'm going to ask or not. You don't get a manual on a list of questions to ask when you're considering critical incident. You just get this guide.
So you didn't see it as any function of your role to consider the adequacy of that police response in relation to whether or not the officers alighted from their vehicle?
Well, consideration would have been the response of the police, yes. I can't say yes or no to whether I would have asked a question about whether they got out of the car or not at that time.
If this scenario presented now, would you ask those questions?
Under the circumstances, maybe. I can't say yes or no unless it happened to me. Like, ask me questions about my considerations on Friday night, I'll give you all the answers in the world. But with this particular one, hypothetically, until it's actually thrown to me, I can't say yes or no.
But you were able just then, Assistant Commissioner, to go through a series of factors that you already had in mind might be relevant to the officer's decision-making at the time. So light, safety, other job.
Yeah.
So presumably if the answers to those things were, whether they'd done a patrol, I think, of the area. Do you mean a drive-past patrol when you say?
Patrol is, as in their response, they've gone to the location that they believe, to the best of their information, and that they've patrolled the area. That could mean driving, that could mean walking.
So patrol doesn't necessarily indicate in a car, it could be on foot.
That's correct. We actually used to have a foot patrol section.
Yeah. Okay, so in that sense, those are all the questions that clearly come to your mind, even sitting now without the full details of the kinds of things that would be relevant to whether the police response at the time was adequate.
Yes.
And others, you've indicated there'd be other things you'd be asking. And so would you expect another region commander who's clearly will necessarily be someone of considerable policing experience to have run through a similar kind of checklist in their mind?
I would expect, yeah, and I'd be very confident that Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman would have had a bit of a checklist in her mind in regards to these are the important factors. And sometimes you hang up the phone and then you think, I'll go back and ask a further question. You give further consideration to the responses you've been provided, and you might ask some further questions.
And presumably part of that might be that you'd see things if you were on foot that you wouldn't necessarily see from the car.
That may be the case, yes.
But there might be times when it's not safe to get out of the car.
That's right. Or you're limited to where you can go. You know what I mean? If it's, if for example, a complaint was in a private house.
Right.
A patrol past the front of the front road will only give you limited.
Tells you not much, probably.
No. But
Right.
it's a lot of it's, and when they're out on the road driving, they are doing this. It's not a documented risk assessment, but they're looking at all the information.
They're balancing it up. They're using their police experience.
Part of that is, like I know you mentioned it was dusk, but the regional remote locations, sometimes they're the only officers that are going to be there for some period of time. So the cavalry may not be just coming over the hill.
Yep.
And that, I'm not saying that was the issue, the case, but it may be a consideration playing on their mind.
So there might be some streets in some locations where you wouldn't get out of the car even if there's two of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Only from an officer safety point of view.
But then there'd be other places where you may know the location and you'd be quite confident that you could get out, shine a torch around and there'd be no issue. Okay.
When did you first become aware that the officers didn't leave their vehicles?
Not at this time. Not while I was a professional standards time. So it's probably. I couldn't tell you, but I am aware that they didn't get out of the vehicle. Has it been in the media?
Yes.
Maybe it was in the media that I may have seen it.
Thank you.
But it's certainly of recent times. It wasn't 2 years ago. It wasn't PC.
Thank you. Now, continuing on with the memorandum or the Godfrey report, it goes on. This is Assistant Commissioner Chapman. I was satisfied with the information and review provided by Superintendent Tanner. I also requested that he ensure the DV homicide review by State Crime Command include assessing all matters, including the lead up to locating the victim. On this basis, I was satisfied there would be suitable independent review and any matters arising would be treated, if appropriate, under Part 8A of the Police Act. I maintain this position. You see that? Mm-hmm. What's your understanding of this DV homicide review process by the State Crime Command?
Well, I know State Crime Command is an independent criminal investigation body within the organisation. They are usually the more experienced they investigate serious organised crime. They would have deployed the homicide squad. And I used to work in the homicide squad, but I'm assuming that there must be another component, being the reference to the DV homicide review. So I know we've got a domestic violence superintendent now, Danielle Emerton, and we've got a different structure of DV now than what was in place when I was in there.
Okay.
So from what she's written in her report, I'm expecting that she's aware that there's a DV component to the homicide investigative team.
All right. But had you come across a DV homicide review process before whilst you were at PSC?
No.
So this was the first time you'd been aware of this as an avenue for sort of independent review of a police operation, as it were?
It's the first time I've heard the reference to the DV homicide review.
Okay. Did you, as part of your review, consider following up what the outcome of that DV homicide independent review was?
No.
Why not?
Well, that wasn't part of my function. I didn't see it as part of my function.
Just explain that, Assistant Commissioner.
Well, again, the catalyst for this was to call for a P1179, not to conduct a full investigation as to why or why not the Region Commander did or did not declare a critical incident review. Part of the process was to call for a response or advice from that Region Commander, which I did.
Yes.
It's not I don't see it as my function as a PSC Commander to pull apart her process.
Yes.
She's a fellow Assistant Commissioner in my view.
Understood. All right, let's go now, and just for completeness, the final paragraph is Assistant Commissioner Chapman's response to the suggestion that there may be a lack of consistency in relation to the decision-making in the Ballina matter and the decision-making in the Liverpool matter. You see that she responds, sets out her views there.
Which paragraph is this?
That's the penultimate paragraph.
I note the correspondence, is that one?
Yes, that's right, just for completeness, so you're aware of that, yes. All right,
Yep.
Let's go now to your response, please. So this is the final page of tab 77, Exhibit 29C, barcode 689. All right, so that's your correct?
The letter, yes.
Do you see the date 29 June 2023 at the top?
Yes.
And then we have a date of 4 July 2023.
Yes.
The correct date is 4 July 2023, is that right?
You know what, I would have had the policy people draft the letter.
Yes.
And then I do the signature and title block, so the 4 July would be the correct one. They would have put the date that they typed on the top as my oversight. I probably should do it.
Okay. That's all right. No, thank you. When you say the policy people, so one of your staff has drafted this letter for your consideration?
Yeah, so we've got a section that deals with all the correspondence going in and out of FLEC. So.
Before a letter goes out, you have to review it and make sure you're satisfied with it, of course, and that it's accurate?
Yes, it's my signature.
Yes. All right. Now, this correspondence for her letter, and which referenced the ABC media report, that's the first sentence. And you state, Acting Assistant Commissioner Tracy Chapman, APM, was the Acting Commander of Northern Region at the time, as you've outlined. Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman did not declare this incident as a critical incident. You see that?
Yes.
I've reviewed the matter. I'm satisfied that the region response was appropriate. Pausing there, you are solely referring to whether or not Acting Assistant Commissioner Chapman's decision not to declare a critical incident was appropriate.
Yes.
It's difficult, isn't it, for you to form that view without access to all the information that she had to inform her decision? Do you agree?
I was satisfied with the information that I had and that the decision she made was the appropriate decision based on the guidelines and the information that she had and the information that she provided me.
Right. But you never saw, for example, the statements from the two responding police? I just want to put the proposition that, again, that your satisfaction that the region response was appropriate is problematic in circumstances where you don't have all the relevant information.
I was very comfortable with the decision that I've made and the response that I've provided.
Right. It goes on. The incident resulted in a prosecution for homicide. Subsequently, the matter will be reviewed by the ODPP, Supreme Court of New South Wales, and ultimately the New South Wales coroner. You see that?
Yes.
What did you mean to convey by referring to those reviews?
It just means that there's an independent body that's going to be looking at all the information, all the statements provided, all the photographs, and if there's anything that comes out that constitutes misconduct or anything like that, that will be raised and that'll be addressed by. So that's, I tried to comfort that there was independence, even though this was 6 months later,
Yep.
that somebody being charged, that it's going through the process, and there would be the independent body that would be conducting the judicial process.
Well, just pausing there. The Supreme Court and the DPP don't have a mandate in relation to any systemic issues that might arise concerning police practice?
No, but you would have police officers in the court of time. You'd have the officer in charge.
Yes. But pausing there, he's not telling Justice Rothman about systemic issues in relation to the investigation, is he?
No. But if there's any misconduct, they've got an obligation to raise it.
But part of a critical incident is to identify systems issues, isn't it? Systems issues and improvements?
Part of a critical incident investigation, yes.
Yes. And the Office of the State Coroner defers, under the Coroners Act, any consideration of a coronial matter until such time as the criminal proceedings have been finally determined.
Yes, correct.
So that often means there can be a significant delay in identifying systems issues, some years.
Yes, but that doesn't stop police, if they identify systems issues on the day of the homicide investigation, to put steps in place to rectify it. We don't have to wait 2 years until the
Sure.
homicide.
But those systems issues need to be identified, don't they?
Yes.
And it wouldn't be the ordinary mandate of a homicide investigator to identify systems issues, would it?
No, it's often the case if they do identify systems issues, they will raise it through their chain of command
Sure.
with a view of improving it.
But it's not their ordinary mandate,
No, it's
is
not
it?
their mandate.
No. All right. Now, it goes on. As per the critical incident guidelines, the region commander has ultimate responsibility for the declaration of all critical incidents that have occurred within their region. That's uncontroversial. That's in the guidelines. Then you go on to say this. I have declined to provide the P1179 related to this incident as there is no obligation to do so within the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission Act 2016. You see that?
Yes.
You knew at the time that you wrote that to LEC, or the Commission, that there was no such P1179, correct?
Yes, correct.
Why did you put it in those terms?
Because if you go to the letter that I received, that's what it's for. Just bear with me.
You can pull up her letter at barcode 637 so everyone can follow.
Okay, so read from it.
So this letter, and you were about to explain why you
So
formulated...
obviously the title to it, request for a P1179 relating to the non-declaration of a critical incident in Balla in January 2023 as reported in the media.
Yes.
And on behalf of the Chief Commissioner, I'm writing to formally request a copy of the critical incident declaration, non-declaration by the Region Commander, P1179, which may have been completed in relation to an incident which occurred at Balla in January 2023. If there was no consideration given to whether the incident should have been declared a critical incident, I request advice as to whether consideration ought to have been given to make a declaration. So there was no request as to whether a P1179 had been completed in this letter. She just asked for a copy of the P1179.
Doesn't she say which may have been completed? She doesn't presume that one's been completed.
No,
She's
but-
implicit in that is
But she
asking
asked-
you,
My point is she's asked for a copy of it.
yeah, if
She doesn't ask
it's
me,
been
was it
completed.
But then it goes on, Assistant Commissioner, if there was no consideration given to whether it should have been. So she's plainly contemplating a scenario where such a form might not exist.
Yes, and I've answered that question in the letter that I've asked for a response from Assistant Commissioner Chapman, and I'm satisfied that the region commander had acted appropriately. I think I'll just reference her answer.
Maybe we could go back to the response.
So that's at
I've
609.
reviewed the matter and I'm satisfied the region response was appropriate. So the question wasn't to provide her a copy.
I'm sorry.
So I formally request a copy of the P1179. I didn't see that as a formal request to answer the question, was one completed or was one not completed?
Well, you have
If that had been asked, then I would have included that in my response.
Can I just suggest to you that your response plainly conveys that there is a P1179 relating to this incident. That is quite evident from reference to the definite article, the P1179 related to this incident.
Which you've declined to provide.
I have declined to provide the P1179 related to this incident. I mean, that could have been interpreted as that, but my objective was to answer the question. She wanted a copy of the P1179, not the question was whether a P1179 was completed. The second part of the question that I believe I've answered was the consideration given as to whether the incident should have been declared as a critical incident.
Why wouldn't you say there is no P1179 in relation to this incident?
I believe I answered the question that was in the correspondence.
Can I suggest to you that that formulation is misleading, and it's misleading in this respect? It suggests that a P1179 related to the incident exists. Do you accept that?
No, that wasn't my intention at all.
It may not have been your intention, but do you accept now how that formulation is apt to mislead?
I still don't believe it's misleading because I was thoroughly aware that if you wanted the documents, and there was no follow-up over the last 2 years from the agency, the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission agency, to ask to further request detailed information in regards to this matter. It was just that one correspondence. 2 years later, I received a 54 and a 55.
Sure, that's a separate matter to what you've written there, can I suggest? And what you have written there conveys the strong indication that there is the P1779 related to the incident in existence.
No, I don't agree with that.
Nothing further, Commissioner, thank you.
Assistant Commissioner, can I just take you back a little way? I want to make sure that I'm drawing the right inferences in relation to the matter that was declared on Friday, but subject to the possibility that this will be subject to a suppression order. My understanding is that there was some police contact with the person who's deceased before, in the several days prior to her body being discovered.
We don't know the time of death. Oh, absolutely, yes.
Prior to her body being
A
discovered.
number of days to discovery, I thought.
Yeah, and is that link part of your consideration to declaring a critical incident? So it was more than simply
It was,
a body in the back of a police car park, if I can put it that way.
well, that was part of it. So
Okay.
looking at the big picture, we've got a vehicle with a body. I'm sure it's a secure vehicle, but it's been in the car park, close vicinity of the front door. Then the next, and based on that, I didn't declare it as a critical incident. I wanted more information. Primarily, had she gone into the police station, had she spoken to a police officer, and then I used that information to assist me in making the declaration of a critical incident.
Okay, thank you. And the other question that I had was, you also talked then about assistant commissioners who are perhaps acting in the role or less experienced and who they might go to for advice. And you mentioned people that they've got some collegiate relationships with. So, sorry, firstly, their professional standards manager, then perhaps other assistant commissioners that they've got pre-existing collegiate relationships with, experienced assistant commissioners, perhaps the deputy commissioner to whom they report.
That's an option.
And I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, professional standards command, would you expect?
No, but if they've got, I feel very comfortable because I'm very connected to a lot of commanders and inspectors there to reach in to get their subject matter expert advice to assistance. But don't forget, they've got their professional standards manager, and I don't know the one in Northern Region, so I can't comment on them, but I speak on behalf of mine who's very experienced, he's been in the role a lot. This is his bread and butter, so I'm very comfortable in reaching into him.
But I was just thinking professional standards, you said, are effectively the subject matter experts for the police force on critical incidents. So that would be an option as well for an assistant commissioner to reach into them, even if they didn't have pre-existing relationships?
I would say yes, because maybe you may not be able to get them, but there is always an on-call inspector, as you well know, for the reviewing component.
And the professional standards manager would have a route in via their inspector's equivalent, effectively.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything arising from that? Ms. Sullivan? Thank you. Before Mr. Golan asks his client any questions, it might be an appropriate time for a break. And during that break, we'll formulate what we had in mind in terms of non-publication orders in relation to the discussions that have occurred about the matter on Friday and discuss those.
I also asked that through your staff that I get a copy of one of these 1179, just in its pro forma form.
The public exhibit.
Yeah, it's an exhibit, but if I could have
I think that's been provided to
It has
your
been provided.
instructing solicitor, Mr. Golan. A photocopy, print out of it.
It's only 2 pages, as I've observed.
No, I just thought that had been provided, but okay. Yep, we can make that arrangement, Mr. Golan. We will adjourn for 20 minutes and can I just indicate to any of the waiting media, for the moment, please don't report anything in relation to that matter on Friday. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Cassar. Mr. Golan, did you have questions?
Yes, just a few questions, if I may. There's a document that's been referred to as a 1179. I've got a copy of it. I understand that it's 8634212. I don't know what tab it's under.
So that would be, it's under tab 52.
Yes, thank you. If that could be pulled up on the screen for the benefit of those that are following the evidence of the witness. Yes, no, I was just moving some documents. I apologise. I won't speak in the absence of being near the microphone. You got access to that document?
I do, yes.
And you were cross-examined about that document or
Yes.
asked questions about that document. And the absence of Ma'am Chapman having completed one of those documents. Now, if there is simply a homicide without any police involved, then police attend, obviously, and then they go about the police business. That's not a document that you would expect to see in the file that's made available to you at a later time.
No.
If it was simply a break and enter, it's not a document that you would expect
No, I wouldn't
to be
expect
confronted with at some later time. If we have a look at this document, in its generic form as opposed to anything that's specific to an individual. And if we have a look at it, you'll see that there are matters considered by the regional commander, and you'll see that there are a number of issues on page 1 under question 1 that arise out of the legislation, or I think that you've identified some guidelines, correct?
Yes, correct.
The guidelines are a reflection of the legislation. Do you accept that?
I do accept that.
Section 110, 111
Yes.
of the LEC Act, as it was generically called.
Correct.
110 provides particular provisions that you are obliged to consider, and 111 is the operative clause, as it were, in that you then declare, because it's met 110,
Yes.
or alternatively, under 111 1B, even if it hasn't met 110, it might have a public interest.
Yes, correct.
Is that as you understand
That's
it?
my understanding, yes.
And there's a discretion in there, in the chapeau to 111, that the Commissioner may call for it to be a critical incident.
Yes, the region commander, correct, yes.
Yeah, there's a discretion. It's not a prescriptive or otherwise
No,
mandatory.
absolutely, it's a discretion.
And if you were to exercise that discretion, having met 110 or 111 1B, you might expect that those that come behind you, or those that are considering it, such as LEC, might want to understand the reasoning that you have whilst you've been given a discretion. Why did you exercise it in that way?
Yes.
Now, if we have a look at this document, question 1 gives rise to considerations in like terms, and particularly question 1B of section 110. And if I can ask you to go over the page, you'll see that at the top of the page there,
Forward one page, thank you.
and for the transcript it's 8634213. You'll see at the top of the page there is yes. To answer yes, there should be at least one box checked in A and at least one box checked in B. Go to part 3. You can see that?
Yes, I do.
And if you say no, it says go to question 2 below.
Yes.
And in each of those circumstances, it gives rise to an exercise of the discretion and then an obligation to explain.
Yes.
But you don't come into the discretion unless you've already navigated your way through
Correct.
110,
Yes.
or alternatively 111
Yes.
1B, correct?
Correct.
And so then if you go down to question 2, and you'll see there that there's, if the answer to 1 above is no, are there grounds to consider that it's in the public interest? So it's inviting a consideration of 111 1B, correct?
Yes. Correct.
So even if you don't meet 110, if you meet 111 1B, in those circumstances, it engages you with an explanation for the exercise of your discretion.
Yes.
And if you go down to 3, it says decision of Region Commander, the following considerations of the answers to the questions in Part 2 above. Did the Region Commander declare the incident a critical incident? A matter may be declared a critical incident if the response is yes to either question in Part 2. It does not have to be yes to both. You can see that?
Yes.
Before you answer Part 3, is it your understanding that you must have found yourself, by reason of the facts and circumstances, attracted to an answer to the preamble, the questions above?
Correct.
And so it would only be in circumstances where you determined that you either fell in 110
Yes.
or 111 1B that you would have any cause to answer the questions in 3. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
And so you would have no cause to consider this document in the absence of you having found yourself in those circumstances.
Correct.
Thank you. That's the evidence.
Can I just make sure I understood what you've just said, Assistant Commissioner and Mr. Gollan? You're welcome to ask further questions if I've muddied the waters. But my understanding of your evidence earlier was that you might still complete a P1179, even if ultimately you've decided that the situation you're considering is neither within 110, so the sort of 6 standard criteria for declaring a critical incident, and nor is it a public interest. But if you've turned your mind to that and you've decided, landed at no, you would still complete the P1179.
Well, that would be the reason for the non-declaration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So,
But you would have to consider both 110 and 111. Yes.
okay. Good. And can I just clarify something? You said before, I think this is an electronic form.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
So
not-
although sometimes those boxes on that printout look to be quite small in terms of the reasons, you could actually expand them
Yes.
within limits
Yeah,
as much
it's
as you
got
want.
Character limitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes the box give reasons no looks quite short, but actually
No, you
you
can
give as
expand it.
much reasons as you want. All right. Thank you. Anything from that, Mr. Gong? Thank you. Anything, Mr. Smart?
No, thank you.
Before you step down, Assistant Commissioner, I think it would be helpful to have the Assistant Commissioner in the box while we clarify any issues of suppression orders. While we were on the morning tea break, I did have a chance to look at some of the media reporting about Friday's incident. My take on it was that the media reporting had included that there'd been contact with police.
That wasn't from me in the stand-up, rest assured, Commissioner. What they've reported and what I've said, I think there's reference that footage that she's gone into the
Police station from the CCTV footage, yes.
I mean, one could assume that she's actually spoken to a police officer, but I can tell you, as recent as this morning, that officer still hasn't provided a version.
And I'm not reaching any conclusion about what that exchange was, but there's, I suppose, the media reporting indicates that she did more than simply park a car in the car park.
Yes.
She's gone into the police station. Maybe the inference is that she's had some interaction there, and then again the media reporting is that she's exited the police station, and then some days later her body's been discovered.
Yes, correct.
We can wait until the transcript comes out to double check it, but my understanding is that that's really the sum total of what was canvassed by the Assistant Commissioner in his evidence. Did Mr. Smart, this is a matter for the Commissioner of Police, did you?
I think we're comfortable at the moment, but we might. I think just proceed on the basis that we're comfortable at the moment, and then if there's a change in that position, we'll let you know.
Okay, that's it. Well, why don't we give the parties an opportunity to review the relevant pages of the transcript before they're posted online? Mr. Gollum, you happy with that approach?
Yes, I obviously have a limited representation in respect of the police officers. I notice that this police officer has been mentioned in the media release.
Yep.
And so I would prefer the cautious approach of allowing us to have a look at this transcript.
But we can do that.
I certainly don't want to prejudice any investigation.
Absolutely not, no. So I think for the media purposes of the media here, it would be reporting of any matters that are already in the existing public domain, wouldn't breach any non-publication. The Commission hasn't made a formal non-publication order yet. We asked, or perhaps we should, Ms. Sullivan. We might make an interim order that no evidence given by this witness in relation to Friday's declaration should be published, and that's not to say that the media might not already be aware of other matters from other matters said by the witness outside of this commission. Should be published under Section 176 of the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission Act. On the topic of suppression orders, and I think, thank you, Assistant Commissioner, you're welcome to step down. Thank you very much for coming to give evidence today. His name I know has been used, and I think my preference would be that her name be given a non-publication order as well. Sometimes people in these circumstances can get attached to the names of Commission officers, so there should be no public name. and nothing that would identify her as a commission officer, but you're welcome to call her as a Law Enforcement Conduct Commission officer if that assists.
Commissioner, can I just confirm that the witness is just a witness box is released from their...
Sorry, absolutely, he's released from his summons, yes. Thank you. With it, the other thing I'd note, Mr. Smart, there were a couple of other witnesses, a couple of other police officers mentioned in passing in Assistant Commissioners Cassar's evidence. I think from memory they were probably all had the rank of superintendent or above. If there's any concerns about any of that, you're welcome to raise it with the Commission, but for the moment I won't make any further